going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that Xdefiant is not going to be any type of Call of Duty killer. You know, it doesn't take a genius to understand that this will just probably be some competition for the overall genre, and it's always healthy to have competition, right? Call of Duty has been running a monopoly on this genre for as long as I could possibly remember. So to see competition come into the field and actually produce good competition, you know, to say the least, is a really positive thing for the overall community. But man, everywhere I go, no matter what social media platform I look at, the amount of hate that I see for this game still to this current date is just absolutely insane. And honestly, I thought it'll be pretty fun and funny to go ahead and put together a whole video of, you know, discussing the hate that this game is getting, specific tweets, and just going over these tweets and sharing my opinion on why this game does not deserve the hate that it necessarily gets on a day-to-day basis. But as always, don't forget, subscribe, hit that bell if you're interested in this video and you want to hear some more stuff just like this one. And if you do want to catch some live streams, we stream every day over on Kick, but I shouldn't say Kick because we are on Twitch this week, but usually we're on Kick. Regardless, links to both those channels are down in the description of this video, but let's get right into it. Okay, so the first message that I saw over on Twitter that is actually, you know, gaining a lot of traction, a lot of people are backing this one up, is from a person named Lucci, and they said, I'm just going to say it, and some of you aren't going to like it. Xdefiant is going to have a 1 to 3 month shelf life if all they're offering is another arena shooter. I don't care how much launch hype it has. And honestly, I get what they're saying here because a lot of games do run into the same similar situation. You know, it gets a lot of hype. Like, look at BattleBit for an example. You know, the game is still really fun in my personal opinion, but the amount of people who play it now compared to what it was at launch is drastically different. It had a huge decline in popularity. And personally, I think the popularity is still there, but again, you know, compared to the previous hype that it had, they just simply couldn't maintain it, and that's the story for a lot of games out there, you know? The hype that they get at launch can never be maintained for longer than a month or two, maybe a few months tops. So I get where they're coming from here, but this is just simply not the direction, nor is it the mindset that I want to have for this game, because again, we have been abused one too many times when it comes to arena shooters. Call of Duty runs a monopoly, they take advantage of the fact that they run a monopoly, and we get things like overpriced skins, thick skill-based matchmaking, poor gameplay decisions, and egotistical devs because they don't think they have any competition. It's, you know, their fan base isn't leaving anywhere. They're still going to be able to make the same amount of money every single year, so it's no reason to listen to anybody. There's no reason to do anything for the community. And that's where Xdefiant comes into play. This game right here gained a ton of traction. And even though I know people believe that it's not going to be able to maintain that traction, there is going to be a hardcore audience who will continuously back up this game regardless. It won't be anything that will probably beat the sales of COD, let alone the player count, because I guarantee they're going to come out and say, oh yeah, so-and-so amount of players are playing Call of Duty, even though the views for COD are completely dead, the hype for COD is completely dead, everything about that's dead, but they still are going to have tons of people playing it apparently, and their player counts are going to be insane. I guarantee all the numbers and stats are going to be crazy for Call of Duty, but when it comes to a hardcore audience who will enjoy, support, and push Xdefiant along, I do not think that this game is going to die within a month or two, even 3 months tops. I think this game is going to last. They already gave us the full year's worth of content. We know exactly what's going to be coming into this game. Their communication is absolutely on point. When the game launches, I'm sure the communication is only going to get better and better. And also to go ahead and confront that, you know, that opinion there saying that if it's just going to only offer, you know, an arena shooter and nothing else, it's going to die. I'd like to beg to differ as well on that take. I don't enjoy this mindset. I really don't enjoy the mindset that if it doesn't have a BR, if it doesn't have an extraction, the game is pointless. I'm tired of it. I really am. I get it. It's not going to have the same popularity as something like Fortnite, Apex, or Warzone. But at the end of the day, we don't need that type of popularity for the game to thrive. People are out there who want a good arena shooter. Every year, people in the Call of Duty community are complaining that 6v6 is neglected and Warzone is prioritized. There are tons of people out there who want a good arena shooter, you know? So even though they're not focusing on a BR or an extraction, I don't think that's going to necessarily take away from the fun factor of an arena shooter. People have been craving something like this forever. That's why when the game dropped, when it launched in beta, both betas pulled in millions of players. You know, millions of players would not come and play this if they did not want to play an arena shooter. Along with having a fully fledged out prestige system, camo grind system, and other challenges that they're going to go ahead and incorporate into their game, it's going to be tons of stuff to play. Basically, every grind that has been removed from Call of Duty from back in the day that made the game replayable in 6v6, and, is one of the main reasons why nobody plays 6v6 now, and they all go to Warzone, all of those, grindable factors are being implemented into Xdefiant. Everything that made 6v6 COD fun back in the day is being implemented into Xdefiant current date, I have to be real. I do not think that if they ignore a BR, they're going to die. I don't think that. I think that if they hyper focus on an arena shooter, it's only going to help the game excel even further. People know what it's going to be. There's no guessing in the identity of Xdefiant. It's no guessing that, oh, it's a BR and it's an arena shooter. So what are they going to focus on more now? Are they going to focus more on their BR? They're going to focus more on their arena? Which one's going to get less effort? Which one's going to get less content? No, there's no confusion. There's no questioning. We know all the content is coming out for, the multiplayer, the arena shooter side. We know all the focus when it comes to bugs, fixes, all of the above is for the multiplayer side, arena shooter side. Everything that's being introduced is for the arena shooter side. So there's no questions to be asked. We know what we're getting into, and that's what we want. Call of Duty has too many identities now. It's pulling it in too many different ways that it's just, the 6v6 side sucks. It's just as simple as it is, The 6v6 side absolutely sucks. And then for the next post, I actually found this from Mr. Simon B over on Twitter. It's a post from the Ghost of Hope, just putting out a statement on how he feels about Xdefiant, saying, "The fact Xdefiant actively angled itself as a competitor to Call of Duty is when it shut itself down from being anything more for the genre. Rainbow Six is a pretty unique shooter. I think Modern Warfare 3 is doing enough to keep a lot of people's eyes off of Xdefiant. In fact, the people who were all in on it originally are now on the Modern Warfare 3 train instead." And again, like I said, he's not really lying in too many different ways, although I will say Mark Rubin has never actually come out and said that this is a Call of Duty competitor. I will say that, never once throughout this whole development cycle, besides content creators behind the scenes, like, Drifter, and I think a couple of other people who are actually working on this game behind the scenes, not developing coding, but giving feedback on what to improve with the game. They will probably say it's a competitor for COD. Content creators like me, for example, I always say it's a competitor for COD because it is in my eyes. But I don't think the developers have ever openly said that this is 1010% coming for Call of Duty's throne. This is Call of Duty competition. So I don't think they ever said that, which, kind of takes away from them being, shutting themselves down from being something unique. But I get what the Ghost of Hope is saying here. Rainbow Six Siege was a unique game, right? It's something that could stand out in a sea of hundreds of thousands of games that are trying to mimic and copy each other. It was able to stand its ground. Whereas Xdefiant, yes, it is indeed going to be competing in the arena shooter category, which, it's going to have some competition. It's going to have some other games that it's going to have to run up against, which will cause possibly a few problems compared to a game where it's completely, unique, has no competition, and it can grow genuinely, basically, without having to worry about having to leech off of too many other games and take players from different titles. But to say that Modern Warfare 3 is doing enough to keep people's eyes off of Xdefiant, I think is saying a bit too much, going a bit too far there. Because yes, Modern Warfare 3 is doing some improvements, but they still absolutely lack the communication that Xdefiant has. They're only making changes after 3 years of people begging for these changes. 4 years, actually, of people begging for these changes. Probably even longer, maybe even I would go 5 years, 5+ of certain other changes that people have been begging for. It's been a non-stop ego chamber from Call of Duty year in, year out. And then out of nowhere, Modern Warfare 3 is saying, oh yeah, we're changing up movement and we're going to make it a little bit more fast-paced. And we're adding in only DLC maps. No new maps, only DLC maps. I personally don't think that that is enough to get people to keep their eyes off of Xdefiant. If they're a Call of Duty player, then yeah, more than likely, if they're a Call of Duty channel, they're probably going to go and, check it out, and they're going to want to talk about Modern Warfare 3 to a certain extent. But when it comes to Xdefiant, again, I don't think it's going to have a problem standing on its own. There will indeed 1010% be a handful of content creators who will gladly come in that are Call of Duty channels that will test out Xdefiant, make some content about it, and then obviously leave for Modern Warfare 3 when that game drops. But at the same time, there will also be a ton of content creators who will stick with the game, cover the game, just like me on this channel. Again, subscribe, hit that bell if you want to be notified on everything Xdefiant, and of course, if you want to hear some rants around Call of Duty, you can hear that as well over here. But there's going to be a lot of channels like me and a lot of individuals who don't care about social media, who don't care about content creators' opinions, and just want to play a game for themselves that they enjoy. That they they don't need to be finessed by Call of Duty anymore. They'll gladly just dive right into Xdefiant. But I don't think Xdefiant has too much of a problem. They're not bragging and boasting about being a Call of Duty clone or anything of that sort. They're not trying to shoot for their throne. they are unique in their own way, in my personal opinion. And even though a lot of, the fundamentals of Xdefiant do rub off a little bit, from Call of Duty, and you could tell that they are trying to tap into that marketplace, I think that they'll be able to maintain their own. Again, I want you guys to leave your opinions down in the comment section if you think that Xdefiant is unique enough in its own way. I'm more curious of what you guys have to say over what I have to say. Again, I already stated my opinion, but do you guys think that it is unique, and do you think that they are shutting themselves down by making them more of a Call of Duty competitor instead of actually trying to be something a bit more unique? Again, I think that they're doing good right now. I don't think there's any problems. I think people are going to gladly support Xdefiant, gladly push it along, and this game will thrive. Hopefully, fingers crossed. I know I'll be playing it, and as long as there's at least a handful of people playing it, then yeah, I'll be there. I don't need a game with millions of people online every single day. That's not necessary. As long as the game is alive enough and it can keep a semi-decent player base, I'll be all for it. Content-wise, gameplay-wise, leisure-wise, whatever it is, I will be all for it. But ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. If you hated it, leave a dislike. Don't forget, subscribe, hit that bell if you want to be notified for more content just like this video today. We do Call of Duty stuff, Xdefiant stuff, commentaries, rants, live gameplays, comparisons. We have a lot of stuff planned in store for the future. So like I said, subscribe, hit that bell. And last but not least, as always, we do stream every day over on Kick and Twitch. This week we are on Twitch, but if you guys want to find the links for that stuff, all my socials, every single one, Twitter, Twitch, Kick, all of the above are down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you all for tuning in this video. I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.